Where Do They Go? By A Nation. Prologue. I'm about to tell you the strangest tale that has ever happened to me. Have you ever put something down and later returned to find it was gone? Then, as mysterious as the item had disappeared, it returns where you left it. Could it be a strange force in the universe, or could there be someone real who is taking and bringing back your possessions? Is it occurring to me, Susan Edwards, because my husband died in a tragic accident, or is there a ghost in my house? Missing items and murder come together in this odd story of loss, gain, and found again. Chapter 1. Day 1. Tuesday. Running. I'm running. My bare feet slap the thick, dew-covered reeds. I seem to be running as I wanted to prevent something from happening. What am I running to? Or am I running from this fear that I feel gripping my soul? I have to keep going. I have to get somewhere. I can't be late. The bridge. I have to get to the bridge. But why? Urgency propels me forward until I stop by the shore of the rushing Silver River. I see the bridge. I am cold. I am only wearing my pink nightshirt. I have to get there before he does, I tell myself. My bare feet stumbled along the uneven river's edge as I tried not to take my eyes off the metal span ahead. The closer I thought I was approaching the metal overpass crossing the Snake River, the further it moved away. Then, in horror, I watched the car break through the side railing and fly out over the rushing waters. It hovered in the air for the longest time until it hit the churning liquid with a tremendous splash. For a few moments, the auto floated, and I could see someone within pounding against the inside of the driver's window, trying to escape. Like a hungry monster, the river swallows the car with the occupant until the man inside could no longer be seen. I jumped into the river, hoping I could reach the drowning person, but the waters were too swift. It was then that I sat up in my bed choking, gasping, and drenching in sweat. Ripping off my soaked nightshirt, I oriented myself to the bedroom. I now realized I had another one of those dreams about my husband's death, and I was exhausted. Must have been early in the morning as the sun wasn't shining through the curtains yet. I looked at the time. It was almost 6 o'clock. Rising from the bed, I headed for the bathroom. Turning on the sink water only made me remember the nightmare again, only this time the details had faded some. I splashed the lukewarm water into my face to wash the images away, but they hung on. Looking into the mirror, I could see my dripping wet face that made me realize my husband was not coming home. It was now almost 30 days since the accident. Where had the time gone? What had I been doing? The event seemed so hazy, so distant, and yet it felt like it happened yesterday. I stepped into the shower stall and turned on the spray head full force to cover my back. Then I turned, but the steady stream of water didn't wash the whole dream away from my mind. Only it wasn't a dream. It really happened, but not until now did I become aware of that fact. I loved Henry. He was my wall that I could lean on and bounce ideas off of without criticism. He was my lover who released me from my daily stress, or would be there, comforting me when I was sick. Oh, Henry, why are you gone? I cried aloud. The sun began to peek through the gaps in the drawn curtains of my bedroom. A breeze from the open window behind the drapes caused the sunlight to flicker and dance upon my carpeted floor. I stepped out of the shower, first to grab a small towel to wrap around my hair and another to dry myself off. I recall there were lots of people who came here the day of the funeral. There were his family, my sister, my daughter, and a few of his co-workers who filled my small home paying their respects. I wanted them to go away. Other than that, my memories were vague. My older sister stayed a while, and later, my daughter came for a few days. I was glad she could because she had to return to work and attend classes. Trisha, my good friend and neighbor, was always there helping me along. How could I have managed without her? She got me out of the bed when I didn't want to and cooked meals for me. All dried off, I removed the towel from my head and briskly rubbed my hair to remove the remaining moisture. A set of clothes were piled on a nearby chair near my dressing table as I pulled on my briefs and hooked on my bra. There was just my plain red t-shirt and my denim slacks to tackle next. I wasn't slim by any stretch of the imagination with the midriff roll, but I wasn't overweight much. Why was I thinking about my weight? I sat in front of my vanity mirror across from my bed looking at the wild hairdo I had created with the towel rub and began laughing. I didn't really look funny, but somehow my reflection became someone else I didn't recognize. I began brushing my hair, returning myself to the familiar me I remembered. Laying my hairbrush down on the dresser top, I bent over to retrieve my shoes by the side of the drawers. After the chore of putting on my shoes, I suddenly felt exhausted. I wanted to go back to bed, but that was where the nightmares began. I walked toward the wavering curtains in my window and pulled them aside, closed the window, and locked down the sash. I guess I'm ready to face you, world. I said to the view outside. I began to leave the bedroom when I turned to put my brush and comb away. I didn't know how long I stared at my vanity table when I realized the hairbrush wasn't there. I must have put it away already, I thought, and walked out of the room. Across from my bedroom was my daughter's former bedroom. Now it was my sewing room. Jan, now 22, had a part-time job in college classes and boys, and was still single. I stopped at the doorway, glancing over at my table piled high with projects I hadn't finished. I could see a couple of pillowcases that needed mending. I think I put them there back in March. 30 days, what was I doing in that time? The questions kept returning until I shook my head to relieve me of unanswered queries. I walked down the hall, and on my right I turned to my kitchen. There, staring at me from the floor, was my little black poodle, Mickey. "I guess you're hungry," I asked him as he began dancing on his tiny toes at my feet. "Let's see where your food is." I didn't remember the last time I had fed him. Trisha came over lots of times. Maybe she fed him. I opened a couple of drawers until I saw the bag of dried dog food. I scooped up a handful and deposited the small crunchies into his bowl. His water dish was still filled, so I saw no need to bother with that. Returning back down the hallway, I passed the laundry room that was next to Jan's old room and gathered up the clothes remaining in the basket. How did they get there? Mickey at my side was looking up at me. "I think I'll do some wash," I told the dog and left to retrieve my nightshirt to add to the pile. As I was dumping the basket of clothes into the top-loading washer, a rusty red cloth caught my attention. It was Henry's favorite t-shirt with the funny monkeys in the front. He bought it when we took a trip to the San Diego Zoo. Then, without warning, a wave of emotion hit me from an unexpected shore that my husband was indeed dead. I began to crumple as I slid down the front cold steel of the washing machine with his t-shirt pressed against my face. The tears came so easy as they gushed out of my eyes. I couldn't stop. I hated crying. It messes up my sinuses and gives me a headache. But here I am, smearing the tears away with my husband's silly t-shirt that was spotted with oil. I couldn't think until Mickey placed a paw on my knee. That sweet, cute face looked up at me and whined. I had to laugh. He was such a sweetie, all puffed up from a recent grooming. Wait, when did that happen? Maybe Trish or my sister must have taken him to the groomers for me. I must have been a mess. I thought, until a few minutes ago, that I was holding up pretty well after the funeral, after the friends and family had left, and after the house became silent. My sister called me every morning to make sure I was all right. As soon as I thought about that, the phone in the kitchen began ringing. I hurried back to the phone wall and grabbed the receiver. "Hello? Susan?" my sister asked. "I just called to let you know that I will have some free time in a couple of weeks if you're up to seeing my worried face again. How are you doing this morning?" My older sister, Elaine, of 2 years, always watched out for me. She married into a well-to-do family that lived a few blocks from my dad's house. Elaine didn't have a paying job, but involved herself in lots of volunteer work that kept her busy. There were times when I was younger I thought she'd try to control my life before I married Henry, but between her and my neighbor for the last month, they kept me together throughout the days of the funeral. "I'm fine. I fed Mickey, and now I'm doing a wash." "That's great. Maybe we can go out for lunch sometime." "Yes, thanks for calling." I wanted to hang up. "Okay, take care, dear." I heard the click in the handset and replaced the phone back onto its carriage. I knew she meant well, but I had to learn how to cope. I returned to the utility room and started the washer. In case my face might have been smudged from the stained t-shirt, I returned to my bathroom and checked the mirror. Mickey was still at my feet. "Nope, don't see anything," I told his black furry face. Mickey trotted behind me as I walked back into the kitchen. Maybe he was worried about me too. Or hungry. "You already ate. I remember feeding you. But let's see what I can find for me." My dog trotted over to the back door by the kitchen counter and scratched at the door. "Oh, I guess you want out," I reasoned and opened the door to let Mickey outside. I opened the refrigerator, and to my surprise, I found it was packed with fruit, pastries, and eggs. "I think I'll just make coffee," I said, feeling overwhelmed by the food display. I shut the fridge and began searching the cupboards for a coffee can. The third door over from the end of the counter, I spied the red and black can. "Aha!" I said aloud, feeling good about my searching abilities. My coffee maker had been cleaned, and someone had put a fresh filter in the basket. Was it 2 tablespoons or 3? I asked myself. There, written on the lid of the water reservoir, I reminded myself that it read 3 tablespoons and 2 cups of water. There, that's done. I shut the lid and I felt a sense of accomplishment. For some reason, I decided to sit in the chair where Henry usually sat. The sunshine from the large bay window behind me felt warm on my back, dissipating the chill within me. I began staring at the neat piles of paper stacked in front of me. Some were bills, and others were cards. They had been all sliced open for my viewing. The cards looked like sympathy cards, and I didn't want to look at them. I remembered all those people who drifted in and out of my house, had told me if there was anything they could do to let them know. What was I to say? Bring my Henry back? Then the wave hit me again. That awful day those First City officers appeared on my front porch. I was doing something, and whatever it was, I wasn't dressed for company. I felt ashamed now for being interrupted from my petty chores by the doorbell. There they were. One had his hat in his hands, moving it around and around as he tried to tell me something. The sky back then was filled with dark rolling clouds, heavy with welcoming rain. "Ma'am, are you Susan Edwards?" I nodded. Deep inside me I knew why they were there, but my conscious mind would not want me to accept what they were about to say. "Mrs. Edwards, we are sorry to inform you, but your husband has been in an accident and died," said a large uniformed man. I wasn't really paying attention to the younger policeman behind him. He was a friend to my husband, but his name eluded me at the moment. "No," I faltered, feeling the floor coming up to me. "Ma'am, are you all right? Is there someone we can call?" Trisha next door." Then blackness overtook me. When I awoke, Trisha was sitting beside me while I was laying on my couch. I heard her tell the officers that she would take care of me. All I could see beyond my friend was a large pair of boots on my nice clean carpet. "You sure you don't want us to call the paramedics?" the younger officer asked. "No, I'll call her relatives. Thank you again," I heard her tell them. They must have taken their leave because I noticed the boots were gone. "No, Henry, you stay here. I'm calling your sister and Jan. Honey, I will take care of everything." And she did. My coffee was perked. I pulled a glass out of a cupboard near the sink and poured myself a cup. I had just sat back down when I heard a knock at the back kitchen door, and then a key inserted. Trisha called out, "Hi, are you up?" When someone enters my back door, they either have to turn right into my kitchen or go straight ahead downstairs to the basement. "Yes, I am. Come in." I began to rise from the kitchen table. "Oh, stay right where you are," she said, allowing my dog to come back inside. She then closed the door. "Great, you made coffee. I'm proud of you." "And I fed Mickey. He's proud of me too." "I bet he is. You look better. Hungry?" "Yes, but where did all the food come from? I know funeral food doesn't last this long." "Larry and I went shopping yesterday. You only had sour milk and some donuts left. Don't you remember me coming yesterday, hauling in bags of groceries?" "Now that you mention it, yeah, I do, but I had forgotten about the food, I guess. I'm sorry if I've been such a loon this past month." "Nonsense. I would probably be the same if something happened to my Larry. I know you would be there for me if that happened. Here, I brought you your newspaper. Not much happens in our little city, but the cartoons on the back page ought to cheer you up." Trisha placed the rolled up paper near my placement on the table. "It's like I've been in a fog treading, water," I croaked, fighting back the reoccurring morning dream. "Did you have another nightmare again?" "Yeah, I don't want to talk about it." "I know, honey, but you have to get it out or it'll eat you up. If not me, your doctor?" "No, he wouldn't understand. You're fine. But I can control the waterworks. I'll talk to you." "Deal. Now how about I fix you some eggs and toast?" She didn't need me to answer as she forged ahead into my pan collection under the counter. I heard her rummaging through my utensil drawer until she found a metal spatula. "Thanks," I replied, sipping my lukewarm coffee. I stood up and poured myself another cupful. Within a few minutes, my best friend and neighbor had fixed an egg and cheese omelet with sliced wheat toast. "I know you don't like a lot of greasy things because of your GERD problem, so I left the butter off the toast. Here's some blackberry jam if you want it," she said, placing a full plate and jam jar down in front of me. I thanked her and once again stared at the pile of envelopes that looked like bills. "I guess I'll have to tackle name changes," I said, munching and pointing my fork at the stack. I proceeded to smear some of the jam onto 2 slices of toast from my plate. "All taken care of. Remember I drove you down to the bank and the power company, gave them Henry's death certificate from the mortuary, and got your name converted over?" I just stared at her and was amazed that she said all that in one sentence. I scooped up some of the egg concoction onto my fork. "The water and gas too?" I asked. "Yes, all done. I think you were there in body, but not in spirit. That bank manager kept looking at you and me. He wanted to make sure you weren't being forced to do it. Well, I set him straight, and he remembered who Henry was. He had bought some insurance from your husband. After that, everything went smooth. Thank you, Trisha. I don't know what I'd have done without you. And did you know you have a safety deposit box at the bank? It took me a couple seconds to think. Yes, Henry had bought some stock and left it in there. Good place for them. And he had also left enough funds in your savings so you won't need any for several months. Maybe I should find a job? I asked, not sure if I wanted one. I placed the remaining egg between 2 slices of toast to make an egg sandwich. The combination sure tasted good. She looked at me. Only if and when you feel ready. For now, I have to go. School is out, but I signed my sweet darling kids up for swimming lessons. Gotta keep them busy or they'll find their own mischief. I know, but remember when we were kids and we roamed all around town without fear of anything? Yeah, gone are the good old days. Well, bye now. Lock your door after me. As soon as she left, I rose up and watched her hold her sweater across her chest to keep out the chilly air of the morning. She ambled across my backyard and opened my chain-link fence gate to return toward her house. The lawn looked mowed. I hope she didn't do that too, I thought. The day looked like it was going to be a sunny one as I clicked the deadbolt over by the back of the doorknob. I finished my breakfast and heard a beep from the utility room. The wash was done. Since it seemed like it was going to be a nice day, I decided to haul the basket of wash clothes outside. Just enough breeze to fluff them dry. Mickey followed me out. I took a deep breath as I stepped onto the porch. The air smelled like my fresh, clean wash. Hey everyone, thanks for listening. If you like what you heard and would like to hear more, please hit the like and subscribe button. If you so happen to find yourself with your own published book and would like to submit your first chapter for a free audio cover, just email me at ebonyclock@yahoo.com with your first chapter, book cover, genre, and a brief synopsis of your book. See you next time on Ebony Clock Promotions.